We're filming today from Normandy, to be precise from the city of Caen, which is known for being the city of William the Conqueror. It's a medieval town which was raised during the Second World War, so we're going to go over a little bit of history. And we have a little guest today. She's my friend Alex. She's living here in the city of Caen. She's going to be our guide today, helping us learn a lot about the history of the city. So Alex, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Hello, thank you, Laurence. Thank you for having me today. Where to start? I moved to Caen almost 3 years ago now. I'm having a great time living here. I knew the city for a long time because I had family here, and now I'm really excited to be one of the people who get to enjoy the city every day, and I'm happy to have you around and make you visit a bit of my city today.
So thank you so much for watching today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and get ready for a wonderful journey through history right here in the heart of Normandy. Welcome to Caen, nicknamed the city of William the Conqueror. Located in the heart of Normandy, Caen's origins date back to the Romans in the 1st century. Caen's history is inextricably linked to William the Conqueror, who was Duke of Normandy in the 11th century. The city is proud of its medieval architectural heritage. The old town boasts churches and abbeys over 1,000 years old. Strolling these magical streets, characterized by narrow cobblestone lanes and timbered houses, is like time traveling through 1,000 years of history. Yet it's difficult to speak about Caen without talking about its recent painful past. From June 6, 1944, also known as D-Day, Caen found itself at the epicenter of a global power struggle with the Normandy landings, the decisive battle to liberate France and Europe. The city was martyred by bombings by Allied and German forces alike, leaving only a handful of buildings standing after its liberation. In the wake of the devastation, Caen and the inhabitants who survived the war worked together to rebuild the city from the ground up. As you continue your stroll, you will notice that the city is also therefore characterized by a striking juxtaposition of contemporary designs alongside medieval monuments. Caen's architecture seamlessly integrates history and innovation, defining it as a hub where tradition and modernity live together in harmony in Normandy. Welcome to Caen, France's symbol of resilience, carrying a message of peace to the rest of the world. Caen is easily accessible from Paris. By car or by train, the journey is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. I would recommend you spend 3 nights here at least to explore not only Caen, but also the rest of Normandy. There is plenty to see in Caen, which Alex and I will go over in this video. And Caen can serve as a base for day trips to explore nearby historical sites as well. What are the top things to do in Caen, you ask me? I will let Alex answer this one as a local.
I would very much like to share with you my top 5 things to do in and around Caen. So my number 1 tip would be a walk through the historical center. You can walk from the Abbaye aux Hommes to the Abbaye aux Dames, and the distance is about 2 kilometers. Then you walk down to the harbor. On your way, you can stop by one of the many bakeries, and I would also recommend you stop by a bookstore, because Caen is a city of books. As you walk through the historical center, you will notice there are many churches. I would suggest you stop by the Église Saint-Sauveur, which is also known as the Notre-Dame de Froidrue. It is a very particular church because it has a double nave. If you go inside, you can notice it's like 2 naves, one next to another. Then, if you continue Rue Saint-Pierre, St. Peter Street, you can notice timber-framed houses. They date back from the early 16th century. Finally, you arrive near the castle on your left and the Saint-Pierre Church on your right. Afterwards, you can walk up the Vaugueux Street, which is also a historical location. It has many restaurants, so you can stop by for a lunch break and then continue towards the Abbaye aux Dames. Once you're up there, you can enjoy a view on the city from the park and take the little streets and stairs back until you reach the harbor.
Now let's go over a little bit of history as we stroll around Caen. The city achieved importance in the 11th century when it became Duke William's favorite place of residence. When he became Duke, William asked Matilda of Flanders, a distant relative, to marry him. Matilda replied that she'd rather become a nun than marry a bastard. According to the legend, William was so angry at hearing this that he rode to Matilda's town of Lille into the palace of the Count of Flanders. He then seized her by the plaits, dragged her around the room, and kicked her. Panting for breath, she finally admitted defeat and consented to the marriage. However, the Pope objected to their marriage due to their distant kinship. In the end, the Pope relented, but as an act of penitence, the Duke and his wife had to build 2 abbeys, one abbey for men and one abbey for women. When William conquered England, he and his wife were crowned King and Queen of England and reigned as English monarchs until their death. William was buried in the Abbey for Men and Matilda in the Abbey for Women, and their tomb can still be visited today. So we're here in front of the tomb of William the Conqueror. This tomb has been scavenged through the years during the French Revolution and over history. So all that's left right now of William the Conqueror's body is his shin, which is a really interesting fact. And then Alex can tell us a little bit more about the history of the church here.
Yes, for sure. Guillaume le Conquérant wanted to marry Mathilde, and they happened to be related, like faraway cousins. And so the church asked them, if they get married, to build churches. So this is why Guillaume le Conquérant built Abbaye aux Hommes, and Mathilde had the Abbaye aux Dames. Now they are both buried, each in their abbaye. And there's also a very nice walk to take in Caen. You can walk from the Abbaye aux Hommes to the Abbaye aux Dames, which means you would cross the city center, like the most ancient historical part. You will walk around the harbor, and then you will walk a little slope to the Abbaye aux Dames, where you have a beautiful park and an overall view on the city of Caen.
Yeah, that's very interesting to learn, and what a privilege to be here in the presence of William the Conqueror, 1,000 years maybe after he existed. I feel like it's such a beautiful church with a great example of Normandy architecture. My friend here, Alex, is an architect too, and she will tell you a bit more about different aspects of architecture here in Normandy. So, Alex, you being an architect here in Caen, having been an architect, it would be really interesting to hear your perspective and learn a little bit about what makes Normandy architecture so special. And if you could tell us a little bit about the Caen stone as well.
Oh, well, there's so much to say about architecture, especially in Normandy. Since we're here, I think if I had to say the most important thing about Caen, it's probably the limestone, la pierre de Caen, which is very, very known. It's very known. It's been used, of course, in Caen at the Reconstruction time also. And it's been exported even at the time of William the Conqueror. If you travel in southern England, you can see many abbeys and cathedrals that have been built with the pierre de Caen, which came from here. And so this is really something important to remember. And right now, if you want to have a look at the church, it's Abbaye Saint-Étienne. It was made, of course, by Guillaume le Conquérant, and it dates back in the 11th century.
Wow, that's very interesting. Wow, yeah. That's really lovely. And I hear that the top of the church is very pointy, and that's very typical of Normandy, right?
Yes, it is indeed. Yes, you have noticed that. It's very important to say. Thank you for reminding us.
Caen is a wonderful place to stroll around. The old town's main sites are all inextricably linked to William the Conqueror. Although William has been dead for 1,000 years, the city is full of anecdotes about his life. The street you see on screen is called Rue Froide, or Cold Street in French. The legend goes that one of William's knights flirted with his wife in this street. When William learned about it, he kicked her and dragged her all the way down the street. Matilda then exclaimed, "What a cold street this is!" The legend goes that the street was named Cold Street following that event. I will now let Alex tell you about more things to do in Caen.
My second suggestion would be to visit the Normandy Museum. I think it's an excellent starting point if you want to discover the history of the territory of Normandy since its early age. It is located in the castle area, so you can for sure combine it with the visit of the site. If you wish to learn more about it, or if you want to prepare your visit, I usually go on the website of the Normandy Museum. My third suggestion, while you're in Caen, is to visit one of the two markets that we have. They both take place in the morning. One is on Friday, on Place Saint-Sauveur, and the other one is on Sunday at the Harbour. Both of the markets are very large and enjoyable. My favorite one is the Friday market, because I like to shop for seasonal products, surrounded by the beautiful historical center. What I buy, of course, depends on the season, but I definitely recommend you visit the cheese shops. In Normandy, we have many different types of cheese, but of course, the four most famous ones are also those I would recommend you to try. They are the Camembert, the Pont-l'Évêque, the Livarot, and the Neuchâtel. Do not hesitate to ask the person who's selling you the cheese to explain to you how to pick your cheese, depending on your taste. I'm sure that they will be very helpful and that you'll find out even more information.
Alex has taken us to her favorite place here in Caen. She says it's the biggest place. It was the biggest place of Caen until 2013, and she's going to explain a little bit more about what she likes about this place and Caen.
Yes, exactly. It's one of my favorite places in Caen, especially on Friday mornings because, these marketplaces that are so nice in France. Well, my favorite everywhere I've been so far is here every Friday morning. You can walk around the Place Saint-Sauveur, you can buy cheese, you can buy vegetables and fish, fresh fish, meat of course, anything you like. Very colorful, always very, very friendly. And I also like to have a coffee because there are many bakeries and coffee places all around the Place Saint-Sauveur. It's very lively. Of course, throughout history, it hasn't always been that happy, especially in the medieval time. It was close to the fortification, the walls, the ancient walls around Caen. It's been also a place sentenced for death for prisoners in the medieval time. So the history is, as always, very, very rich, not always very happy. But today it's very lively, very enjoyable, and especially for its architecture. If you come around Christmas, there's very often a Christmas tree here on the place. Also very nice lightnings, very enjoyable. And I also like it because it's a melting pot where anyone could just meet and have a good family time. I like that.
I can see you have lots of different bars around here that are very, very pretty. The architecture looks absolutely amazing, and I could see myself just sitting here enjoying a little coffee. And then we have a beautiful statue right there of Louis XIV, and a little coffee shop there that's called Monsieur Louis, in reference to, I'm guessing, the King of France, or old King of France, I should say. So yeah, thank you for taking us. It's a really beautiful place to go.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Let's go over some of Caen's World War II heritage sites now. On June 6, 1944, Caen was a theater of the decisive Battle of World War II. 3 million soldiers engaged in a titanic conflict, with Allies landing at 5 Normandy beaches, codenamed Sword, Utah, Gold, Omaha, and Juno. All of these beaches can be visited today as day trips from Caen. The city was completely razed during the war. The intense bombing from the Allied forces meant that Caen had to rebuild itself completely from the ground. For this reason, not everyone in Caen celebrated victory on July 9th after the decisive battle. A lot of citizens would say, "I am free, yes, but my whole family died in the intense bombing. I have no job and my house is destroyed. What is freedom if I have nothing to live for?" Caen created a memorial museum that you can visit today, located 15 minutes by car from the city center. Today, the city stands as an advocate of peace, solidarity, and human rights across the world for all the suffering its people underwent during the war.
In July 1944, Caen was massively destroyed by the bombings of the Second World War. Fortunately, both abbeys remain untouched. The reconstruction of the city started in 1948 with the architect Marc Briot de Laujardière, who decided to rebuild the city following its former plan. One new axis, which was already planned earlier, was created. It is the 6th of June Avenue that links the University of Caen to the train station. Of course, the reconstruction uses the Caen stone, and the design of the building is inspired by Parisian Haussmann architecture. The reconstruction of Caen is very rich and interesting as a topic. Do not hesitate to go ahead and learn more about it when you visit the city. Of course, if you come to Caen, you will want to visit the remarkable places that share the memory of the Second World War. Therefore, my fourth suggestion would be to follow a path of remembrance that can start at the Caen Memorial and then you would continue along the coastline. This way, you will visit the landing beaches, cemeteries, and also museums. If you are planning to visit the landing sites with your family and your children, then I can recommend you to visit the Juno Beach Center. It is Canada's Second World War Museum and it is located in Courseulles-sur-Mer. The exhibition is designed taking young visitors in consideration. As you will discover, they can use touchscreen and interactive modules. Finally, my fifth suggestion would be taking some time in the forest. Just 14 minutes away from Caen, you can visit the town of Clécy. It is located in a very green area that is called the Suisse Normande. You can do many outdoor sports there, just like kayaking and hiking. In the spring and summertime, there are many restaurants where you can eat and enjoy a sunny afternoon.
So I'm here with Alex in front of St. Peter's Church, which was destroyed during the World War II, but is actually originally a church from the 13th century, so it's almost 1,000 years old. And it was completely rebuilt after the Second World War in a wonderful story of resilience from the people of Normandy and the people of Caen. So I'm going to let Alex tell us a little bit more about what you can see around here and then the best season to visit Caen.
Yes, so you said pretty much everything about the beautiful Church Saint-Pierre that is facing the castle of Caen, the fortification of the castle. We're preparing to celebrate the millennial of the city, so the castle is getting ready. There are many works, refurbishment that are happening at the moment. A lot to be looking forward to. I think Caen is already very attractive, and I think it reserves many surprises for the future. To answer your question, what's the best time of the year to come visit? Well, of course, historically, June is very interesting because you have all the celebrations and memorial happenings around the D-Day landing in the Second World War.
This year it's going to be the 80th anniversary, right, of the D-Day landing.
Exactly. This year is going to be very special, and I think it's very important to keep the memory of the Second World War alive, especially for youngest people. So really this year I would recommend to come in June, July. Of course in the summer, because the sea is 20 minutes away from Caen and there are so many nice beaches around. But in general, if you want to visit the cities, villages and the inlands, I would recommend I would say from April to late September, even October. And then we also have sunny days in February, just like today, as you can see.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to have a local, somebody who lives in Caen and Normandy, to guide us around this beautiful city. And we heard so many beautiful stories of medieval times, of William the Conqueror, but also about the resilience of the people living here. It was such a pleasure to have us here. I wanted to say thank you so much.
Of course, it was a pleasure. And although we saw many things, there's still so much to discover. So just come again and let's explore even more.
Okay. For more travel insights, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and share this video. That really helps me a lot. And then really we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.